Today, Fox Crime put out an article discussing how releasing the Unabomber's writings was the strategy that ultimately led to his identification nearly 30 years ago. So, the sentence that caught my attention, and this is all in regards to the second ransom note in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, just for reference purposes. So in this article put out by Fox Crime, they're talking a lot about linguistics, language, and this sentence in particular caught my attention because I know that so many of us have been drawn to the language used in that letter. The word perish is not something many of us use in everyday language, right? We would typically say passed away or died. So this sentence in that article says, can the language someone uses be as unique as their fingerprint? I'll read it again. Can the language someone uses be as unique as their fingerprint? So with my minimal knowledge, I say yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you why. I believe someone's language can be as unique as their fingerprint because each of us develops a recognizable writing pattern. We tend to use the same vocabulary, sentence structure, tone, pacing, and even favorite phrases. It's my mind went right back to college and all of those papers we wrote. It's why those professors often recognize when a paper doesn't sound like the student who wrote their previous assignments. That consistency creates a linguistic fingerprint that can stand out when something is written differently. Like a professor, in many cases, will know if you are having someone else write your papers, unless you have had them write those papers from day one. They will also know when you're plagiarizing, not just because they recognize the article or they can do a search on the internet for that information and locate it, but also because of your unique style of language, right? Your language fingerprint. Even if you try to change the wording of the portion that you've plagiarized and added that into your paper, it's going to be different. It's going to flow differently than the rest of your paper from your unique language. So I would definitely agree with this, except there's one caveat. There is one big but in the room, and that's artificial intelligence. We have AI now, and that can bring confusion to everything. So I wanted to see how artificial intelligence would apply to language and the second ransom note. So I wanted to see for myself what artificial intelligence was capable of. So I downloaded an AI app and I entered the original second ransom note, word for word, that was received in the Nancy Guthrie case. I then asked the AI app to generate 7 different versions using different linguistic, I keep wanting to say linguini, guys, linguistic styles and tones. So I asked the AI app first to produce a letter from someone with a British accent, using common vocabulary used every day in Great Britain. I asked for a version of the letter if produced by a gangster, a journalist, someone well educated with a PhD, someone writing that letter if they were to make a basic ex post, amongst other styles, right? I'll get to those later. I'll show you the pictures of what the AI app produced. So the app produced 7 distinctly different examples for me. It became clear to me that AI can generate the same message using dramatically different tones and vocabularies. So what we don't have, however, is the original prompt or instructions that may have been entered if that ransom letter author used AI to create the ransom note. So if the author used the AI app to create a ransom note, we will never be able to decipher who that individual is based on linguistics because we have no knowledge of their personal tone and style. They simply could request anything. According to what I've done today, they can request anything in any style and the app will produce it for you. So After comparing the different versions and reviewing the original ransom letter, I also asked the application for its opinion. So please take everything I've shared here as information based solely on my own personal experiment. These are my observations and opinions only. They are not presented as fact. So I pasted the ransom note into the AI app and I asked the following question. When you, AI app, analyze the original wording of this letter, what overall writing style does it appear to be? I was surprised by some of the summary, right? So I'll share that next. And this is the artificial intelligent writing style and tone analysis of the second Nancy Guthrie ransom note. So the question I presented to the AI app was again as follows. Question: when you, AI app, analyze the original wording of this letter, what overall writing style does it appear to be? And for the sake of what I'm doing here and this recording, we are going to assume that the author did not use AI, and so that this would be an accurate analysis according to AI of that second ransom note and the language and tone of that author. So the answer that AI gave me was as follows. The passage, the second ransom note that I pasted in word for word into AI, most closely resembles a plain, controlled confessional statement written in simple, contemporary American English. It is not especially literary, academic, journalistic, or highly emotional. Instead, it uses short, declarative sentences, a limited vocabulary, and a restrained emotional tone. Several linguistic characteristics stand out. Low lexical complexity, meaning most words are common and easy to understand. There is little use of sophisticated vocabulary or figurative language. Matter-of-fact delivery. The writer presents claims in a straightforward sequence with minimal elaboration. Minimal emotional expression. Although the letter ends with an apology, the emotional language remains relatively subdued compared to what is often found in deeply personal correspondence. Repetition for emphasis. The phrase, "we never intended to hurt her," that was not our intention, repeats essentially the same idea, reinforcing the point rather than adding new information. So I know personally that repetition for emphasis is a style of language because I do it. Often you want to create a point, and so you say the same thing just using different words. It's completely unnecessary, but some of us do it. And according to the AI analysis, the author of the second ransom letter uses repetition for emphasis. Anyway, so on to the next part of the analysis. Hedging language. Expressions such as "we believe" soften certainty and avoid making definitive factual claims. Detached narration. The use of phrases like "she perished" instead of "she died" creates a slightly more formal and emotionally distant tone. And that's what I was saying earlier. Most of us in our everyday language would say "she died" or "she passed away." But this individual chose to use something that I thought might be written by a poet. The use of phrases like "she perished" instead of "she died" creates a slightly more formal and emotionally distant tone. I could see that being used in a story, in someone who does storytelling as well. And lastly, focus on reassurance. Much of the letter appears devoted to reassuring the recipients that nothing they could have done could have changed the outcome. And then the overall summary at the end of this says, overall, I would classify the writing as plain, expository prose with elements of an apologetic or confessional statement. It reads like a concise, explanatory note, then a personal letter, literary work, or professionally edited document. So I'll read that again. So overall, I would classify the writing as plain, expository prose, and I'll explain that in a minute, with elements of an apologetic or confessional statement. It reads more like a concise, explanatory note than a personal letter, literary work, or professionally edited document. The style prioritizes directness and simplicity over vivid description, persuasive rhetoric, or emotional depth. And then this is the AI's disclaimer, in my opinion. It's important to note that writing style alone cannot identify who wrote a document or reveal their intentions. Many different people can produce similar linguistic patterns, and conclusions about authorship require specialized forensic linguistic analysis combined with evidence. So many people can produce similar linguistic patterns, and such conclusions about authorship require specialized forensic linguistic analysis combined with other evidence, right? So that's why the FBI is involved in these ransom notes. They have the specialists. Let's see. We classify the writing as plain, expository prose. And let me spell that for you. expository. And then prose is spelled prose. It's a type of writing that aims to explain, inform, or describe a topic clearly and factually. Unlike persuasive or narrative writing, it focuses slowly on presenting information without attempting to influence the reader's opinion or tell a story. Sorry, guys, it's getting late here. It's 11 o'clock. This style is commonly used in essays, manuals, news articles, and educational materials, emphasizing organization, evidence, and clarity. So that's interesting to me. If we're believing that this is the author's writing style, that says a lot. If they use AI, it basically says nothing. But think about this. This style is commonly used in essays, manuals, news articles, and educational materials, emphasizing organization, evidence, and clarity. So who would have those characteristics in their daily life, right? Anyway, so tell me what you think. Did anything surprise you based on the AI summary of the ransom note? And there you go. Thank you. So here's the written summary of what I just read. And assuming that the author did not use AI and that this summary is correct and, accurate by AI, I'm wondering if you have a better understanding, or you believe you have a better understanding of the ransom author of letter number 2, and what stood out to you. What about even perhaps their profession, what they do in their daily life, especially since this type of writing applies to journalists, teachers, and technical writers? What are your thoughts about that? This video is for demonstration purposes only and not for fact of the subject matter.